Hi everyone, and welcome back. I hope that you've been tuning into our previous lessons. If you haven't, I suggest that you go back and check them out. For those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, hi, my name is Lauren. I work for a group called Compass Mark in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We provide a program called Leaders of Future Generations, which is where these lessons have been derived from. And since we are all stuck at home for the rest of the school year, we thought that we would bring them to you at home. Please feel free to share these videos with anyone that you know who has kids or who might just enjoy watching these videos and doing these activities with their family and their friends or by themselves at home. Okay, so over the last couple lessons, we have been talking about conflict, bullying, violence, and media literacy. Which means being able to detect the truth or falsehood in what we see on TV, in film, or social media, or any kind of media outlet. So I hope that you watched that video and I hope that you enjoyed learning more about media. Today we're going to be talking about ethics. So today's quote comes from Peter Stewart, who is a Canadian physiologist, and he said, "Ethics is the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do." Okay, great. We'll come back to that. So what are ethics? I don't know if you've even heard that word before. Maybe you have, and maybe you kind of think you know what it means. But today we're going to explore what it means, and we're going to practice actually making some ethical decisions. So you probably heard someone talk about acting ethically or making an ethical choice, but maybe you don't really know what that means. Ethics is defined as a system of morals or doing what is right for the most people in any kind of situation. So we know what our morals are or our personal values. When we bring those into a situation to help us make a decision, then we're acting ethically according to our own ethical codes. And when you find yourselves in schools or communities or even jobs one day, usually there is a code of ethics that you follow within that job that is kind of like a set of personal values that the company has, or personal values that the school has. Like if your school has a big no bullying policy, as most schools do, no cheating policy, no stealing policy. These are values or things that your school cares about, and therefore they expect everyone in your school to follow them. So it's kind of like the rules, but it's a little bit deeper than that because it affects not just things that you could get in trouble for, but how you should behave on a regular basis according to what the school expects from you and with their code of ethics. Okay. But in addition to these places having a code of ethics, we also have a code of ethics within ourselves. So that is when you make a decision based on the personal values or the things that you consider important, that you hold dear. And if you're not sure what personal values are or what your personal values are, I suggest that you go back in our lessons and check out the one called Personal Values, which helps you explore all the different things that could be a value to you and figure out what is or what are your top values. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we aren't sure what the right choice is. So sometimes we understand that we've got option A and option B, and either one has positive or negative consequences. And it's really on us to make a decision based on our own opinion. But when it comes to an ethical decision, sometimes there's more at play here. And sometimes it's not as easy as choosing A or B, but it becomes really challenging to figure out what would be right or what would be most right in this situation. Because another big aspect of ethical decisions is that you might not be able to make a decision that is 100% correct or 100% positive or good for everyone involved. And that's unfortunately what this is, right? These are making decisions that could make one person upset, but 9 people happy, right? And it's not always easy to decide. So a situation where both options seem like the right thing to do, or they both seem like the wrong thing to do. We call these situations ethical dilemmas, and they're not easy to deal with. And the truth is that your ethical choice in a situation could differ from someone else. Like I said, we each have our own personal code of ethics. Perhaps I feel like integrity and honesty is the most important thing. So in a situation, no matter what the consequences could be, I believe that honesty, if we have the option to be honest, then that's what we need to do. Okay, but someone else might disagree. They might feel like being honest in this situation could hurt someone else. And so we shouldn't do that because we should never hurt other people. Does that make sense? So like because I have a different, and I'm just using examples, but if I have a different code of ethics than someone else, they might make a completely different choice, and that doesn't necessarily make it wrong. It just means that we have different values. We value different aspects of this dilemma, okay? But then when you go into play with the school's code of ethics, or the community's code of ethics, or the country's code of ethics, or the company that you work at's code of ethics, okay, then you have to balance your own personal values with also what your company or your school or your community would expect too, so that you can follow that code of ethics as well. So it gets a little tricky. Okay, so there are a few values we're going to go through today, 6 different values that we all might feel differently about, but they can help you when you come across an ethical dilemma. So specifically thinking about these 6 things can help you, can help give you the tools that you need to make the right choice for you, okay? So these 6 things are trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. So when we keep these 6 values in mind, we can more easily understand which choice would be more ethical or more right in a situation. So let's discuss these values. The first one being trustworthy. So trustworthy means that you're honest. People understand that they can trust you, that you're dependable. You don't deceive, you don't cheat, you don't steal from people. People can depend on you to make the right choice based on what is truthful. You would never lie to get your way. Trust is a very important part of everyone's life, every relationship, every interaction you have. We have to be able to trust the people we're around, and we also want them to be able to trust us. If you cannot trust someone, especially someone in a leadership position, it's going to be very hard to get things done or accomplish anything because there's no respect there. There's no trust. Trust is also a two-way street. You need to be able to trust those around you to make the choices too. So we want people to trust us, but we also have to trust other people too. Okay, the next part is respect. Respect is the second value that helps us make an ethical decision. Respect means to treat others the way that you would want to be treated or to find value in others. If we value others and we treat them as we would want to be treated in that situation, then we can know that we're acting ethically. Respect is the foundation of any relationship or situation. When we act with disrespect, we are treating the other person like they don't matter or like we don't see value in what they care about or who they are. That would not be acting ethically because we would be disregarding someone in the situation. We would not be respecting them. We also have to bring self-respect to these ethical dilemmas, which we talked about in a previous lesson too. So if you're not sure what that is, go back and check it out. We have to respect our own values and we have to be unafraid to stand up for what we believe in. So like the little example I gave earlier, if honesty is super important to me, then I need to have self-respect to stand up for that and say, like, we need to tell the truth because honesty is really important. And I need to be able to be unafraid in standing up for what I believe in. We have to respect the values of who we are and understand that the decisions that we make may not be the same one that someone else could make. And that's okay because it has to be what we believe in. Having self-respect or standing up for what you believe in helps you act ethically. The next one is responsibility. Responsibility, we understand what the given rules are in our society, in our schools, and in our homes. We know what it means when we've broken a rule. Okay, we all know what that means. Being responsible means that we follow the rules and that we do what we're supposed to do. Being responsible for your own actions and taking responsibility when you do something wrong. It can also mean being responsible for others, especially when making an ethical decision in a dilemma, and especially as a leader. We have to consider who our decision is going to impact. Who is this going to affect? It's not just about us. So take responsibility for the happiness, the respect, and the safety of everyone that this decision could impact. Our next value is fairness. In addition to knowing what the rules are, we have to follow them correctly, right? We have to play fair. So we can't cut corners, which means you kind of find a way around what you need to do or you cheat the system, okay? So if you cut corners or adjust things to fit your desires, then you're not playing fair. You're not doing it right, okay? We can't solve an ethical dilemma by bending the rules or compromising the ethical dilemma, okay? That's not how this works. The next one is caring. This might seem kind of obvious, but it is important to care about other people, to care about everything in the situation, and to care about yourself. When we care about the welfare of others and ourselves, it's going to help us make the right choice. And finally, citizenship, which is maybe not a value that you would have thought of when we did our personal values, but it's an important one. It involves how you fit into the society, how you fit into your community, whether that be at your school or in your house or in your neighborhood or at your job or whatever it might be. Doing your part and acting as a good citizen is important. We are all in this together, so when you have an ethical decision to make sure that you're considering not just how it's going to impact the people in the decision, but how's it going to impact the community? How's it going to impact the rest of the people, okay, or everyone else? How is this going to ripple out and change things beyond our little decision? Well, it might not be so little, but you know what I mean. So acting ethically is not easy. That's why we call them dilemmas, right? However, if you can keep in mind trust, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, then you have all the tools you need to act ethically. And to remind you what ethics means, it means to do what is right for the most people in a situation. So right there in the definition, we understand that this decision is not going to make 100% of the people happy, but it will uphold your values, the values and the ethics of the environment that you're in, and it will help the most people in the situation. So let's try out some ethical dilemmas. Now for these, I'm not going to give you an answer because my answer could be different from yours, but I'm going to give you all the tools that you would need to make the choice for yourself. And I want you to pay attention to the story and think for yourself how you would respond, okay? So here's the first one. Okay. The mood at Raleigh High School is tense with anticipation. For the first time in many, many years, the varsity basketball team has made it to the state semifinals. Pretty exciting. The community is very excited too, and everyone's making plans to attend the big game next Saturday night. Jeff, the varsity coach, has been waiting for years to field such a team. Speed, teamwork, balance, they've got it all. Only one more week to practice, he tells the team, and not a rule can be broken. Everyone must be at practice each night at the regularly scheduled time, no exceptions. Brad and Mike are two of the team's starters. They're very important to the team's success. From their perspective, they are indispensable to the team. These are the guys who will surely bring victory to Raleigh. They decide, why no one will ever care, they're untouchable, to skip practice. The coach is furious. Brad and Mike have deliberately disobeyed the rules. And according to the rules, they need to be suspended for 1 full week. But if he follows the rules, Brad and Mike will not play in the semifinal game. And the whole team is depending on them. So that's quite the pickle. So the first thing you want to ask yourself as the coach, so we are Jeff, as the coach, what are our choices? Well, our choices are to suspend the boys and they don't play in the game, we play without them, or to let the rules slide and let them play and hopefully win the game. Ethical dilemma. What factors are contributing to your decision? Well, in this decision, I would say the community is something I'm definitely thinking about because I want our community to have that kind of school pride, that we won this game, and it could bring a lot of attention to the school. These kids could be up for scholarships to go to college if they do really well in this game. It could have a lot of really good consequences for us to play this game with our star players. However, I also believe in following the rules and I believe in fairness. And if we let the rules slide for these guys, what does that tell the rest of the players? What does that tell the rest of the players who are still going to be around next year to play in the team and know that these 2 star players got away with breaking the rules? What's that going to say about ourselves as a coach, as a leader, as someone in charge? So these are the things contributing to my decision. And finally, what is your final decision? So if you were the coach, what would you do? Would you suspend the boys or would you let them play? And again, I'm not going to give you my answer because this isn't about what I would do. Okay, how about another one? Ben said goodbye to his friends and started heading home. He was in a great mood. He had 2 weeks off from school for winter break, and he had just passed his driver's test license with no homework, and he could hang out with his friends whenever he wanted to. Feeling pretty good. Things could not be better. He turned his iPhone music up and smiled. As he passed the row of stores before the hill leading to his house, something caught his eye at the bank. Something was sticking out of the ATM machine. As he got closer, he saw that it was cash. Ben looked around and there was no one around him. No cars, nobody walking nearby. Someone must have just used the machine and forgotten to take their money. Whoever it was gone now. He walked over to the machine and took the money out. $60. There was also a receipt sticking out. Ben looked around again and still no one was there. He could turn the money into the bank tomorrow, because it was after hours now and no one was there. But really, it was $60. $60. Probably not much to the customer, but it would make a difference for him, for how many Christmas gifts he could get for his family, for food that he could order that he wanted, or even to buy new music for his iPhone. Does it really count if you do something like this only one time? Ben thought this over. It's not like he's a thief or anyone. Someone messed up. They left the cash there in the first place. So here we are at another ethical dilemma. What are our choices as Ben? Well, we could either take the cash or not take the cash, right? Or I guess not take the cash, but take the cash and give it back to the bank. So we either take it and we act like we didn't, right? Or we take the cash and we give it back to the bank. So what's contributing to your decision here? Well, from the sounds of it, there's some music that he wants to buy. There's some food that we want to order. And we want to be able to get our family members nice Christmas gifts. And this extra $60 would definitely help. But also it's wrong. We didn't earn the money, so it's not ours. There could be cameras around and they could see that we did this. Ethical dilemma. So what would you do? Would you take the cash and act like you have no idea where you got it? Or would you take the cash and return it to the bank the next day with the receipt? Okay, let's do one more. Georgia's hands were sweating. She was 15 minutes into her math final when she began to panic. This exam was worth most of her grade in the class. She understood math. She even liked it and usually did really well. But her problem was that she's just not a good test taker. Her grades never reflected the understanding that she knew she had of the material. Now here she was, once again stuck on one problem with 25 points on the test, and she was drawing a blank. She put her head down on the desk and concentrated as hard as she could. She remembered doing a similar problem in class and explaining it to her friend Jessie. But now she was so stressed out by the test, she couldn't even remember how to begin. She lifted her head and stared at her test. She listened to the clock tick on the wall and imagined her parents' expression when she received her report card. Jessie was sitting right in front of her. He is always a good test taker and had already solved the problem that she was looking at. The teacher has his back turned and was on the other side of the room. Georgia could look over Jessie's shoulder and get the answer, and no one would ever know. Georgia needed to think quickly. She thought about how unfair that was, that she regularly does so badly on tests, even though she works so hard in class, and she does understand it. She thought about how often she helped Jessie in class throughout the semester. What should she do? She prided herself on doing what was right. But how right is it that she works so hard in a system that doesn't reward such hard work? Because she knows the material, she's just not very good at the test. Finally, she took a deep breath. She looked to see if the teacher was still going on or over on the other side of the room, and she glanced over Jessie's shoulder just long enough to get the final answer to the question. Then she figured out the rest of the problem on her own. In the moment, she felt really proud of herself. She felt great because she was able to finish the test. She felt she had sort of created an ethical compromise. But on her way home from the bus, Georgia's good feelings started to fade. She couldn't stop thinking about what she did on the test. What exactly is an ethical compromise anyway? She thought to herself. Should she tell her teacher what she did or move forward and act like it never happened? So here we are in another ethical dilemma. We already cheated on the test. We already did that. So now we can either come clean to our teacher and tell her or tell him that we cheated, or we can let it go and act like it never happened. What's contributing to our decision? Well, a desire to do well on the test, clearly our parents' opinion of us when we have to give them the report card, and our feelings about the whole system of having to take tests in school because she feels like she's a really good student, but she doesn't do well on the tests. So and also being honest, right? The value of wanting to be honest. So all of these things are contributing to our decision. So what would you do? Maybe you never would have cheated to begin with, or maybe you definitely would have. But now that you have, would you tell your teacher what you did? Or would you just let it slide and act like it never happened? Ethical dilemmas are called dilemmas because they're not easy. They're not easy to decide. There is usually not an obvious choice. However, if you are aware of your values and you keep in mind the 6 values that we talked about, such as respect, trust, responsibility, caring, fairness, and citizenship, the decision should become clearer to you. When you keep in mind what you value as important, it seems to me like Georgia feels a little guilty. And so being dishonest like that was probably something against her values. And like we learned in our personal values lesson, when we make decisions or we act against the things that we value, we usually end up feeling really unhappy. We feel unsteady. We feel uncomfortable because we did something against what we believe in. So because of that, what's more important to her? Following her values or getting that better grade on the test? So it's not always easy, but when you can actually think about what you value and what matters to you, it helps make these decisions a lot easier. As a leader, you're a role model. So in addition to thinking about your code of ethics and the things that you believe in, you also have to consider that you're leading a group or that people are following you or looking up to you. So the decisions that you make have to be ethical, right? Or at least they need to stand up for what you believe in. And even if you choose to follow a value that is unpopular to other people, that as that coach, you decide to suspend those kids because they broke the rules, and now the whole community is mad at you, right? Because they lost the game. That's not nice. That stinks, right? That wouldn't be fun. But you stood up for what you believed in, even though it was unpopular. And that is something to be looked up to. And people would look up to that. And then they would be able to follow their values better because they were basing it off of what you did. So let's look back at our quote today from Peter Stewart. Peter said, "Ethics is the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do." Great. So I like this quote because he's acknowledging that we have a right to make our own choices, okay? And we have a right to make the wrong choice. We might get in trouble, but like Ben, we could take that money and no one may ever know, right? Or like Georgia, no one may ever know that she cheated on that test. We have a right to do that because we have free will, okay? And we can choose our choices. But there's a difference between what you can do and what you should do, okay? What you have a right to do and what is right to do. And being able to figure out not just what I could do, but what I should do, what I am able to do that follows the rules or that I know is right or that is in line with my code of ethics or the community's code of ethics that I'm in, is going to be what's right to do. And ethics is all about figuring out the difference between those two. So here are some discussion questions for you at home. I would like you to think about an ethical decision that you've had to make. It might involve something like cheating or forging a signature or, any kind of situation like that. But even, passing a rumor around at school or something that might have to do with your friends. We come across ethical dilemmas more often than we think. So I want you to name one that you've had to decide. And for number 2, what contributed to your decision? So what was playing a role in making you think one way or another? And number 3, did you feel satisfied with how you handled it? Okay. For your at-home activity today, I would like you to come up with an ethical dilemma It might be one that you've experienced or just something that you could come up with, a hard decision for people to make. Write a story about a character who has that ethical dilemma to make. Present the story to as many people as you can, your family members, your friends, social media, whatever you like. And I want you to try to figure out what choices they would make in this situation. So try to see how many people would choose option A or how many people would choose option B, and explore these ethical dilemmas with them. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson on ethics, and I hope that you continue to tune in to future lessons. I hope that you're well, I hope that you're safe, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.